Hey everyone, Justin here. So I'm here. I have a very, very special guest with us, Tara McClary, and so I'm happy to have Tara with us. Welcome to Made for Mondays, Tara.
Hey, Justin, thanks for having me. Pretty excited to be here.
Cool. So Tara, if you don't mind, just telling us a little bit about you. So who are you, and what do you do, and why really? So the why behind the what. So who are you, and what do you do?
I am Tara McClary, recently married. So sometimes I too
Woo!
say my maiden name. I have to catch myself, but very recently married. I am originally from New York City, Queens. Both of my parents are still there. And I am one of two children. I have an older sister, only by 1 year, so that doesn't really count. And I currently live in Massachusetts and am an assistant vice president for Amica Insurance on the claim side. So I oversee a special types of claims across the country, such as our recovery claims, our medical payments claims, and I also oversee our special investigations unit across the country. So
Wow.
why do I do that? I do it because, funny thing, when I got out of college, I needed a job that was going to take me out of New York City because I couldn't afford it myself.
Yeah.
And Amica was the place I put all my eggs. And here I am 16 years later, still doing it, moving along. It's a great company, and it's also great company to work for because we
Yeah.
do great work in the communities. And insurance is a product that helps people. So pretty rewarding.
Yeah. Well, so one of the questions I do have for you then. So you said you've been there 16 years?
Mhm.
So 5 years in, when you were like in the entry parts of it, what made you stick in after the 5 years to get to where you are 16 years later?
In all honesty, when I joined with the company, when I interviewed with them, I remember telling who's now my boss's boss when he interviewed me at the time. I said, if I get this position, just so you know, I plan on retiring from this company. So I'm hopeful that that made a difference because they said yes, and I still stand with that position. And during my first maybe 2 years, I remember I have a colleague, and we would joke as we progress in our careers. And finally, when I got to this position, he called me and said, I remember when we were working and you would just say, I want an office, a hard-walled office on the fourth floor of that building. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm going to go. And he said, look at you, you did it.
Wow.
So I knew early on that I wanted to do this, wanted to be here, wanted to move up in the company and be an important executive that makes some decisions not only about the talent, but the direction the company may be
Yeah.
considering. Um, so I've been invested from day one to
Yeah.
make it through to the end.
Yeah.
And it was just, staying committed with hard work and putting a lot of work in.
Yeah. So why is it important then? So like we're in the same generation, so we bounce around in different
Mhm,
jobs, right? So
mhm.
like I'm hustling. I got this nighttime job. I got the side hustle. I got this. I'll be to pursue a passion that I haven't named yet. It sounds like what you have so far was like I'm going to build an organization, build in something. Why is it important to you for longevity and investment in your not just in your field but for you to be invested for the long term and all of that?
Yeah, that actually ties to a lot of personal experience and
Yeah.
growing up. So I'm a inner city kid from Queens, New York, not the best place to grow up in. I grew up in a poor household, and so it was very important to me that I had stability at all times. So
Hmm.
I am more of a risk averse person.
Got it.
So it makes me uncomfortable and it gives me anxiety to think about bouncing.
Hmm.
And it's something I need to grow through because
Hmm.
that's not always a positive. But for me, I needed to know that I had consistent stability at all times because I was not a fan of the up and down and the potential that I could experience what I experienced growing up.
Wow. So with that, as you grew into this and even grew into the person you are today, what
Mhm.
are some, I guess, like things you learned as you grew into leadership, like moving from with the entry place to where you are now, where you're making, it sounded like earlier, I mean, worldwide decisions. What are some things you learned on the journey of growing into leader, to becoming the leader you are today? Yeah.
So I've learned to be flexible with my job. I've been with the company 16 years, but I've
Mhm.
moved maybe 5 or 6 times
Wow.
out of New York City to Rhode Island, Rhode Island to Texas, Texas to Michigan, Michigan to Rhode Island, Rhode Island to Baltimore, Baltimore back to Rhode Island. And those moves actually happened in the first, all five of those moves, 5 or 6 happened all in the first 7 years of my career.
Wow.
So I was
Jeez.
averaging maybe being in a location for a year, no more than 2 years, and then
Yeah.
moving. So I got really good at making friends. I got really good at making friends, and I have a large network across the country of some really strong, solid people who've been through ups and downs, have some great character traits and things I can pull from and that I talk to and hang out with still. Um, and so I learned that I need to be flexible with myself
Hmm.
and adapt to new locations, not really get too stuck.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that also knowing that I had the comfort and stability of my employer. So that
Got it.
that makes it a lot easier. It's not like I
Got
had
it.
to get a new job while moving into a new location. I always had the comfort of a very financially stable company that held
Yeah.
me together.
Yeah.
Um, I also learned that I am a really hard worker, and that sounds amazing, and it is amazing. It got me
Yeah.
here, but it comes with its cons. I was a traditional, or what we consider what the professional woman, the young professional,
Hmm.
focused on the career woman, focused on the
Hmm.
career, got to move up. I wasn't really thinking about a husband. I was thinking about partying and working hard. So I would work hard, party harder, come to work with maybe the same clothes I left work at yesterday. Then I got smart and I would keep a change of clothes in the trunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those were my younger days. But I
Wow.
definitely worked hard and enjoyed life.
Yeah.
And I think me being able to put in all the extra time that I did at work really did help me to get here.
So with that too, because I love your journey, Tara. It seems like I've been wrestling with this language myself, like the difference between hustle and hard work, right? And it seems like you're mentioning being a hard worker, and to me, that's a lot different from, like, when I think of hustle, I think of like basketball. I'm jumping out of bounds to grab a ball. I don't really need to do this, but I'm hustling. And I guess, would you mind explaining a little bit for you, even the difference between being a hard worker and being a hustler?
Yeah, that's funny. I've never been asked that question, but what I can say is when I hear the word hustle,
Hmm.
I think of someone who is creative, who is going out of their bounds, out of their comfort zone to
Hmm.
seize opportunities that if they don't do it, it's lost.
Got it.
And that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of freedom and agility and ability to go and do that and pretty much seize the day, carpe diem,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
So when I
mhm.
think of hustle, that's what I think. Someone who really is a risk taker, is not afraid or will take calculated risks.
Yeah.
Where I think of a hard worker is, I know what I need to do. I'm going to make sure it goes well. I have the ability to plan and manage it properly. It's a little
Mhm,
more controlled and contained,
mhm.
and it's just more effort
Got it.
me than it is requiring as much creativity. There
Got
could
it.
be creativity in the hard work, but
Yeah.
for me, for instance, I wouldn't say I am a hustler because I can work. I can do the work.
Yeah.
I might outwork someone, but I might
Yeah.
not out hustle someone.
No, I get that. No, I get that. And I think that's so real. And I guess that's one thing I've been thinking about in terms of, if we're going to be focused individuals. I think hard work is the important part there. I think this hustle culture, this, even like what's gotten us in this moment, employment going so high. I think hustle, 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 part time, part time, part time, do this, do that, and then we look up and can't sustain that. So
Mhm.
no, thank you for this, Tara. So the thing we do here, everyone, is we then have 3 points of purpose. So, like, purpose, things that we can, that we're challenged with to live into all that we are and all that we can do in the world. And so I'm gonna turn it over to Tara. Tara, what would be your 3 points of purpose to challenge people to own their Mondays, to own their weeks, and to be all that God's called them to be?
All right. 3 points of purpose. One, planning. I know it seems weird to say to plan for your Monday, but your Mondays go so much better when you even Sunday night, look at your calendar. Know what might happen, know where your free time is. And then if you can, look beyond Monday, see what the week is looking like, where you have your breathing room. Because sometimes you'll realize if you just did that on Sunday, it sets you in a different mode on Monday. And if there's something that you're like, oh my, I probably should prepare for that, you now have the opportunity to do some planning versus no planning at all.
Hmm.
And that's been really significant for me because at one point I didn't do it. And Mondays in the insurance world is crazy. Think about how every
Oh
Sunday
wow.
night, the first 15 minutes of any news segment is what car crashed on the highway, who drove the wrong way, what house burned down, like anything that's insurance related. And so I would wake up, I would get to work, and some of those claims would be on my desk.
Wow. Wow.
So it definitely helps to plan, to know what you're going to walk into, and try to set yourself up mentally, and also get rest. Like I, it's so underestimated how much value 8 hours of sleep is
Yeah.
for us. I think we're
Yeah.
so used to running on Duncan and
Yeah.
running on just, energy and emotions, but we really do need to rest. And your
So
mind is
true.
so much clearer in the morning.
So true.
One other thing of purpose for your Mondays, and I would strongly encourage this for any day of the week that ends in day, is to make sure that you're allowing yourself a defined time to eat and or spend time with God. So at work, at my desk, I have two monitors, and in between, I have my own Bible there. And there have been times when I take lunch, I have to make sure I turn away on the other side of my credenza, and I will have my lunch, and I will pull out my little mini Bible and go
Yeah.
to whatever scripture I'm trying to memorize or I think might need to ground me with whatever I'm going through. And I've
Mm.
had people walk in and they're like, hey, I guess I'll come back. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
and it seems weird because we don't really bring church to work. I know
Yeah.
you've talked about this several
Yeah.
times, Justin, and
Yeah.
actually, I think it was maybe in 2017 you did a sermon
Yeah.
on that, and that's when I was like, I'm bringing my Bible to work. um, but it's amazing how even in that time when I'm eating, if I'm reading the Bible or I simply just say a prayer because I am stressed
Hmm.
or anxious about whatever's coming next,
Hmm.
having that 10-15 minutes of prayer time definitely does make a world of difference.
Wow. Yeah.
um and
Yeah.
was that more than 3 points of purpose?
I think
Was
it
that
was three. I think it
that
was
was three?
three. Yeah,
Okay.
that was three. No, that's perfect, and that's amazing. I guess that's one thing I'm wrestling with and finishing up another book I'm reading about boundaries and accountability, and actually having coworkers that keep you accountable to those things, whether they're saved or unsaved, right?
Hmm.
And so hearing you say that just agitates something I read a couple of days ago about like I think it was Patrick Lencioni. He talked about having unsaved coworkers keep saved people accountable, and then saved coworkers keep unsaved people accountable, because it was like that they're the ones that are just like no nonsense, right? And how that's a way to build accountability among teamwork, team players. And I did a practice like that in our office, and I was like, wait a minute, we all go to the same church, and so let's try something a little bit different. And so thank you for that. I think that's powerful and wonderful. And I never that takes a lot to actually sit in a space like that and actually turn, like Jesus said, turn our faces and be focused. So thank you for that so much,
Yeah.
Tara. And thank you for you. So the last thing I would ask you, actually, I didn't ask you this, but it made me think about it when you were talking. What is something you would tell to yourself or someone like yourself 10 years ago, right? Someone who's getting into something, making decisions for their family,
Hmm.
kind of like you were making decisions of where am I going? What am I doing? Do I make major purchases? Do I not make major purchases? What would you say to them based upon everything you said today? Like, what would you say to you 10 years ago?
What would I say to my self 10 years ago? I would say all of what you think is important now is emotional. And it's easy for me to say it now. I have to give a lot of this credit to my husband because we
Yeah.
have a lot of talks about um, emotional responses and thoughts and things, and
Yeah.
it's really difficult to grow into really learning those items when they come up.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
can look back at some of these decisions and was like, ooh, a bright red, brand new, fresh off the lot Mercedes Benz 2009. Like, this is me. Not good.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
No, I get
not.
that. I
Maybe
get it. I get it. I get
not.
it.
Yeah, just I was extremely emotional.
Got it. Wow. No, that's powerful. And that makes me reflect on some things. Like I remember I went and bought a suit. It was the cheapest suit I ever could buy, but it was $99 suit. There was a two for sale. And I was like, I just need this suit so bad. I bought it. The thing ripped. My mom laughed so hard. She was like, well, you better keep wearing it. Cause she said, you had to get it so bad. It's to save it for the thing that you really need. And so that's amazing. Tara, thank you so much for your time. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. And this was such a blessing. And I really appreciate it.